It didn't used to be that way.
Really?
No. Yeah.
In 5, 4, 3.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fresh Paint Showcase. My name is Tim Wigan, and actually, I'm here with Sarah Jesse from the Academy Art Museum. It's a Fresh Paint Showcase with the Academy Art Museum featuring Sarah Jesse who's the director over at the Academy Art Museum. Sarah did this last year.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's nice to be back.
Yeah. I'm really glad you came back, actually.
Oh, no, thanks for having
I
me.
didn't know
It's a
how it went
pleasure.
last year, so I was curious. It's like, oh, they would say no, they would say yes, or whatever.
No, yeah, last year was my first plein air, and I think it's an amazing initiative, and I love being a part of it, so thanks.
Well, I learned a lot last year from you guys, so when they were saying, hey, do you want to do it again? I was like, yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
So we've picked a couple paintings here in the back. I guess the camera work will start moving around. We're going to do these every day, next couple of days at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Tomorrow.
Just tomorrow, just
We'll
today
do
and
it
tomorrow.
again, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in town, you can come by. 10 o'clock they'll start. And then tomorrow as well. They'll run about 15 minutes. You can also watch them online, obviously. This will be shared through Plein Air Easton and Avalon Theater social media sites. Immediately after this, Garen Baker is doing a demo here. Right on the stage, right? Was these paints here? There's a board right behind. Sarah, you want to pick up a brush and start going at it?
Nobody wants that.
Maybe we'll go ahead and take a look at the paintings. Let's go ahead and take a look
Yeah,
at
let's look at the paintings.
What do you have, or how did you have an order to this? You just found these? How did it come about?
Yeah, well, so we're in the waterfowl building right now, and we're surrounded by works that were just created. In fact, there's a lot of signs up that say that the paint is still wet, which is really exciting, I think, to be able to see what artists are creating really in the moment. And so these are some of the paintings that caught my eye, but there are so many here that also caught my eye too. So we'll feature additional artists tomorrow on the show.
Sure.
Yeah, but so Brandt Sills is sort of a classic plein air painter. You kind of can't have plein air without Brandt Sills. I just love his work. Don't you? Don't you think it's gorgeous?
Yeah. And actually, this is the first time I'm looking at it for the first time.
Yeah.
And the way he brought in to me the definition of the trees, which is something I have never really seen John do before, but still has that classic
Misty, hazy.
What is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressionistic. It has that sort of mist layer over it, but you can still make out some forms in nature. It's really stunning. And actually, I have to give a little plug because Brandt Sills is going to be teaching a masterclass at the Academy Art Museum at the end of October. So I'm so curious how he actually executes this. And if you are too, you will have the opportunity to learn from him.
Was that one of the things in getting him over there is to see how he does this?
Yeah, I think so. And to teach others some of his techniques and process as well.
I think just from having talked to John, he's going to say something about oneness when that class comes out. I think is what he'll.
What do you mean? Just like
I can't do it justice, but I just gotta.
Okay.
What about this? This is the next one.
Yeah. So this caught my eye. This is a new artist to Plein Air Easton. Her name is Hema Gupta.
Hema Gupta.
And I just love the diversity of subject matter that can take place within the parameters of plein air. If you think of plein air, you think of a landscape probably, but I think this selection of works shows that a lot of different types of subject matter can fall under that umbrella. And this looks like a street scene from Europe. I'm actually curious where in the area it was painted.
It might be Annapolis, maybe. I'm not positive.
Yeah, because it really has this sort of charm to it with the street lights here and this steeple in the background and these just beautiful washes of color. I think it's really well done. And even though there's cars in it that show us the technology of today, it sort of feels like another time period from the past or something to me.
Very nice.
Are you attracted to it as well?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed listening to you explain it. Then I start to think of them as like, okay, well, yeah, I see what she's saying. and then where does it go in my house? But I don't think that's where you're really coming from, right? I mean, you're not coming from that.
Yeah,
sort of-
well, I mean, I think one of the things, I would say one of the threads of plein air work is that it is the kind of work you want to live with. And, you know, there's a whole range of art that contemporary artists are making today, and some of it's challenging, and some of it is sort of about ideas and concept, and sometimes it's about all of those things, and it's also really just enjoyable and delightful to look at. And so all of these paintings are ones that I would want to look at every single day and live with and have breakfast with and dinner with and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask one more question on the way
Yeah.
back, coming back to these paintings, but I want to finish
Yes.
these two here. So we can, which, you're fancy, which, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sarah.
so this is Charlie Hunter, and he is definitely known for this signature style where he's using a squeegee to create these very precise lines. And the thing I like about his work is that it feels a little different from some of the other work that we see in plein air, because it's more of these rigid lines and less of these organic shapes. So I really like that precision to it, and just sort of the sharpness. And then this signature color palette of this sepia tone, these browns and creams, and how he can create all of these different images with a very limited palette and sort of a limited style as well.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of that movie with all those stars in it. A lot of Charlie's work does. And I can't remember the name of it, so I'll try and think of it before the end of the show.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely a strong feel. And it's interesting that you say about the limited color palette.
Yeah, right. It's amazing what an artist can do with limitations.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's brown, I guess.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
Variations of brown and cream and white. Yeah, exactly.
And
What is it? Water?
I
don't actually know.
I'll have to ask Charlie. I think
Let's
he's.
get Charlie on the show. Can we get him?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. It's definitely not watercolor. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not watercolor. But maybe oil and or I don't know if acrylic looks like that. And then the fourth painting.
Yeah, so in contrast to Charlie's limited palette, we have here Cynthia Rosen's just bombastic color washes here. And, you know, it's a really detailed close-up as opposed to looking at sort of a panoramic view of a landscape. She's narrowed in on a subject matter here. And when you get up really close, it's just sort of this cacophony of brushstrokes, and they're really fat, luscious brushstrokes. And then as you step back further, it starts to form this image of these beautiful flowers. So it's really nice, I think, sort of looking close and far away, because you see all the different colors that make up this palette. You have purples and oranges and reds and greens and pinks and whites and just almost every color that you can imagine that have come together pretty masterfully to create this really beautiful image. That it looks wet still. It probably is wet, but I have a feeling that even when it dries, it'll still look wet.
Right. No, that's great. We were talking about the looking close up and looking far away yesterday, and the way you described it is really, makes it fun to look at it both ways. We were saying yesterday that sometimes when you look up further away, you say, oh, this beautiful thing, and then you get up close, you're like, oh, it doesn't look exactly like what I was thinking. But the way it looks beautiful both ways.
It really does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
All right, we're going to get ready to wrap this up. I'm going to pose a new question, Sarah, a surprise question for you.
Oh, wow,
That we'll
okay.
use tomorrow as well.
Okay.
Just off the top of your head, and it's not, there's who does this artwork remind you of in terms of the greats? And you can just off the top of your head.
Oh gosh.
You can say I can't. You can say I'm not sure right now.
Gosh. Well, I mean, it looks a little Wyeth-y, okay?
Okay.
I'll throw out Andrew Wyeth just to play along, just for
Right,
fun, because it does have that sort of, it's slightly lonely, I would say.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and I don't mean that in a disparaging
Sure,
way at all,
no.
but it has this sort of like peacefulness to it. I guess I would characterize it more like that. Well, I think, I guess I would just say Monet because, you have the close-up of what could look like water lilies that would harken to that
Right.
famous work.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say that. Probably a little more colorful of a palette and richer, more saturated colors, but we'll play along here.
Sure.
Ooh, gosh, this street scene, man.
You can say it's okay. I don't have anybody that or go to John.
Well, okay, so this is feeling really Monet to me, actually. I will say that, these two in really different ways.
But that's what Monet was, right? He was different, right? He did it in both ways too, right? He didn't just stay on one side.
True. Yeah. And then, a classic street scene, I would say, gosh, I'll have to come back to
That's fine.
to that.
That's fine. It was a sprung-on question. Sarah, listen, thank you for coming over. Real quick before, and I'll let you do an outro for anything you want to say that's happening at the Academy.
Oh, yeah.
This is an oil painting. It's oil medium. Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, thank you all for attending our Fresh Paint Showcase. We'll be back tomorrow. I do want to give one plug for the Academy Art Museum. We will have the competition paintings at the museum this weekend, so come and check them out. And then after that, we have an exhibition opening on August 5th of works, self-portraiture works throughout art history. We'll have Rembrandt, Goya, Warhol, kind of like the famous artists, and then some more contemporary artists as well, like Amy Sherald, and others as well. So come,
That sounds great.
Come check that out.
Sounds really cool. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all for coming in today. Tell your friends they want to come back tomorrow. I love listening to Sarah talk about the paintings. It really adds a whole depth for me as someone who gets to do this once a year. So I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the Fresh Paint Showcase with Sarah Jesse in the Academy Art Museum. Thank you very much.